Series 4 of My Greek Odyssey sees us travelling through the southern islands of the Dodecanese, from Kos to Simi and Rhodes, all the way down to Kastellorizo. It's a region of Greece with significant influence from Asia Minor, and landscapes quite unlike other parts of the Mediterranean. The history is as dramatic as the scenery, and of course, the cuisine is unforgettable. There's the cliched beaches and wonderful people, plus unique cultural elements that give each destination its own personality. In this episode, I've arrived on the island of the Knights, Rhodes. It's one of the most well-known destinations in the world, and it's easy to see why. As I'm going to show you, it's a place that constantly amazes, with grand architecture, dramatic history, and even more spectacular landscapes. I'm going to show you all the major sites, but also some of the unique experiences that locals have kept to themselves. 10 months a year of spectacular weather. Rhodes is considered one of the most visited destinations in all of Europe. They get so much light that in ancient times, they worshipped the sun god Helios. So much so that they built a massive statue, 32 metres high, almost as high as the Statue of Liberty. This bronze statue was considered the Colossus, one of the 7 ancient wonders of the world. Behind me, the largest existing medieval fortress in all of Europe. The Knights of St. John made their base here. There's just so much history, so many beaches, awesome hotels. I look forward to exploring this wonderful island. Rhodes is the largest of the Dodecanese islands and the 4th biggest in all of Greece. Around 120,000 people live here, but with close to 2 million tourists visiting annually, it can be difficult to tell the locals from the visitors. However, it's easy to understand why so many people flock to the place. The moment you step foot on Rhodes, you're taken back 500 years or more to when the Knights of St. John ruled the island. Their impact is unmistakable thanks to the architecture you find throughout the main city. That said, there's also significant influence in the history, culture and aesthetic of Rhodes, stemming from ancient times, specifically the classical and Hellenistic eras. My arrival here came after spending the best part of 10 days in Karpathos and Kassos, 2 of the most remote and unexplored islands in the country. It was a stark contrast to what I'd been experiencing prior, where in place of the peaceful streets and empty taverns, I had hordes of tourists and a constant buzz of activity. I generally prefer the quieter islands, but when you've come to know Rhodes really well, you realise both sides of the coin. There's the amazing old town and historic sites where you have no choice but to be part of the crowd. And then there are the hidden gems and lesser known places where you can escape the chaos and slow down for a little. For Helen and me, Rhodes has so many special memories that we treasure and look forward to reliving them time and time again. One of the first things I do whenever I come here is take a stroll through the old town. It was built around the Knights of St. John medieval fortress, and throughout the sprawling cobblestone lanes, you'll find great restaurants, quaint cafes, museums, gift shops and galleries, and of course, fascinating landmarks. So while Hella was out shopping and Irenaeus on a Segway tour with the captain, I was admiring the architecture and reliving the history with Maria. Wow, Mary, this is amazing. The medieval town of Rhodes, it's massive. There's huge walls. There's a set of walls over here, a set of walls over here. What is so special about this town, this medieval town?
This is the largest medieval city in the whole world. It's one of the most well-preserved medieval cities of the whole world. That's why it was declared as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO.
Wow.
Right now we're looking at the moat. It was never filled with water. It was always dry. It served as a death trap, because any poor guy that was trapped in the moat would definitely die. We had people coming out from the tunnels, archers on the ramparts, and people throwing burning material. Nobody would make it.
Wow, so they're just stuck in here.
Mm-hmm.
So what's behind that gate?
It's the most important gate from a military viewpoint because it leads directly to the heart of the administration center, the Grand Master's Palace, the place that the Grand Master used to live. And this gate is not actually a single gate, it's a triple gate, because we have to pass the moat, pass the arched entrance, then there's a second moat and a second gate, and then a third moat and a third gate.
So there's 3 moats, 3 gates to get through to the inside.
Nobody would make it. I don't know anyone.
They must have had some pretty precious things inside there for that to happen.
Of course, the Grand Master's Palace, the whole city.
Wow. Well, let's go in.
Let's go.
The mighty walls of the fortress withstood attacks from the Sultan of Egypt in 1444 and then a siege by Ottomans in 1480. But in 1522, the fortifications were eventually overwhelmed by Suleiman the Magnificent. It took a vast army of some 100,000 or more soldiers for the Sultan to forge his victory, and the 6-month siege cost him half his forces.
So this is the Grand Master's Palace.
Yes. And what is between us and the Grand Master's Palace is the third moat.
This is the third moat. Another moat.
Another moat.
So what are those shields that we're looking at there?
Those are the coat of arms of the Order of the Knights of St. John. The most typical one you will see is the one with the cross over there.
The Grand Master was the leader of the Knights of St. John. There was a strict hierarchy within the order, and to lead meant you possessed more than just military nous, but a close affinity with the church and an understanding of politics. But above all else, you needed the capacity to inspire those around you.
So, Mary, how many Grand Masters were there?
From 1309 until 1522, there were about 19 Grand Masters.
19? A lot. It's an awesome building. I love this. Big spaces, columns, arches, everything here.
As with a lot of historic events, there's sometimes a bit of myth that can embellish the facts a little. In the case of the Siege of Rhodes, legend has it that a member of the order who had lost a vote to become the Grand Master sought to end the bloody standoff by deceit and betrayed the knights.
He threw arrows to the camp of Sultan Suleiman with letters on them saying, "Sultan Suleiman, do not go. The city will be yours. The city is out of gunpowder." Before doing that, he sent his servant to gather all the gunpowder of the city and hide it in the cellars of the Cathedral of the Knights of St. John. He was caught and he was punished the medieval way.
Killed. Sad. All this fortification, and it was a traitor that got him over the line. Amazing. Amazing.
Other facts point to a slightly different end, where a truce was reached, and on New Year's Day, 1523, the knights and soldiers marched from the city, dressed in battle armour with banners flying. Along with several thousand of the city's inhabitants, they boarded ships and sailed to Crete. Strolling through the walled city with its narrow laneways and cobbled streets, it's easy to imagine and romanticise what might have happened here throughout the centuries. In basic terms, life may well be the same here now as it was 400 years or more ago, with hundreds of people walking around town, shopping, eating and catching up with friends. Nowadays, the drawcard for most people that come here is the medieval architecture. It's awe-inspiring to say the least, and confronts you around almost every corner. But the history of Rhodes goes back thousands of years prior to this. And to tell me more about it, I met with Professor Spiros Siropoulos, an expert on Greek literature. No doubt you'll have a more romantic version of the island's ancient past.
It doesn't look very much right now, but in antiquity it was one of the most beautiful temples that one could see, and most important, it was dedicated to Helios, the sun god. And it's very easy to understand why, because everywhere you look around, there is sunshine.
Right.
This is an island blessed with a lot of sunshine. 3,100 hours of sunshine per year.
Wow.
Crete is second with only 100 hours difference. More than 129 days of sunshine a year. This is obviously an island dedicated to the sun.
I've been to Rhodes a number of times, yet until meeting Professor Spiro, I still didn't truly understand the complexity of the island's history. In just a couple of hours, he pieced together all the dots for me in the most interesting way.
Professor, I'm so intrigued by the Colossus of Rhodes, one of the 7 ancient wonders of the world. And I've seen the picture hundreds of times of him standing right there between those 2 pylons. Tell me about it. I want to know the history.
I'm sure you have, Pete, and we are all excited with it. But you said you want to know about history, not myth, because what you know is a myth.
Oh.
Colossus standing with his feet astride, bridging the harbor. This is the biggest myth of all times. We know for a fact that the height of the statue was 32 meters tall. Now, if the statue was actually at the entrance of the harbor, we know the width of the ancient harbor was 400 meters. So the statue should have been at least 120 meters tall if it were to present a harmonious, in analogies, man. So we believe that the statue of Helios stood back there where the Palace of the Knights is.
So, Professor, where's it gone?
Somewhere around here. Meaning what? In 228-27 BC, a massive earthquake threw the colossal statue on the ground. It lay on the ground for nearly 900 years, 879 years. The Arabs came and they took the precious metal, the bronze, and they sold it somewhere in the east. It's all gone. But the squared stones that they used as weight in his feet,
Yep.
they were used to rebuild the city that was leveled by the earthquake. So in a sense, the heart of the statue is still somewhere in the city.
The resources and huge costs required to create the Colossus suggest that Rhodes was very rich and powerful. There's other supporting evidence across the island, including the beautifully preserved Odeon. Every time I visit here, it conjures up images of the great civilization that once was.
Professor, you were born here in Rhodes and you've studied internationally.
Yes.
And you decided to come back to Rhodes. Why did you come back to Rhodes?
Because I'm in love with Rhodes. Like everyone else, I think, since antiquity, people, that's the beauty and the magic of the island. It makes people fall in love with this place and consider it their own. So I always wanted to come back. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to because there wouldn't be any work for me, but we have a very good university here, the University of the Aegean, and I'm very happy that I'm able to do what I love here on the island that I love. So,
Fantastic. Fantastic.
There's evidence of other ancient buildings and facilities strewn about the place, but the most impressive is the stadium, dating back to the 2nd century BC. It's a remnant of the time when the island prospered.
210 meters long. This is one of the biggest and definitely one of the 2 best preserved stadiums in ancient Greece and in Greece today. It's also a sign of superior aristocratic regime, because you can imagine, Panayoti, that lower class people and poor class people do not afford the time to exercise. So the rich aristocrats exercise and train all year long. And this is because they want to be prepared for war. If you recall all the ancient events, wrestling, running with full body armor, military helmets, horses, javelin, it's all preparation for war. So the aristocrats, during the time of peace, they prepare for war.
So this was one of the wealthiest states in all of Greece.
It was most definitely one of the richest, but this is a proof that it was a rich, powerful, aristocratic state. And the proof stands right in front of us.
That's awesome. Look at the size of it.
It's amazing.
As far as history is concerned, Rhodes has it all, from the classical and Hellenistic periods into medieval times and right through the modern era. This is an island where you can walk through time.
Nice motorbike, looks good. Fashionable, that's him.
Unlike the smaller islands, Rhodes is relatively self-sufficient, so there are plenty of people that have been born, raised, educated and made their lives here.
Γεια σου Γιώργο. Είναι
Γεια σου Παναγιώτη.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Hey, you look good with the bike, mate.
Thank you.
George is a great example of exactly this. He's a local architect that fuses his profession with a passion for the island's history. George has combined his technical and creative skills as an architect with his ongoing studies of the island's buildings. It provides a very different insight into how you interpret what you see in the design and construction of the different buildings and periods of architecture.
We have the Gothic part, we have the Arabic part, we have the Greek part, all mixed in this new Italian style, which we have preserved and kept it in the best way we could.
And that's the Arabic arch, the Arabic dome, okay.
Exactly.
What about the bank over there, the Trapeza, the Bank of Greece?
So the Bank of Greece is one of the most beautiful banks of Greece in the whole country. As you can see, it has parts of influence from many sides of the historical phase in the island. But as we said, there is also another part.
Another phase, the second phase.
Exactly.
Can we go and have a look at the second
The
phase?
strict Italian. Let's go.
Fame. Look, without getting killed, eh? Let's cross now.
With the same architecture.
George's knowledge and passion for Italian architecture likely stems from his studies in Milan. It was there he gained a master's in interior and living design. He's also the president of the Dodecanese Architects Association, which says to me he certainly knows his stuff.
So now we are in the second phase. It's the point when the Italians realized that they really want to settle here. They realized what their role was. So the architecture is completely different. As you can see, there is just one material, in contradiction with the previous style. There is just one language with just one purpose, to impress and to give a sort of fear through the big scale. You see those big windows, those high building shapes.
Yep.
They just had one role, to create the fascism way of thinking. And all these uses around, they had one role, to succeed in conquering in the most influential way the citizens of the island.
You know what, I'll tell you what I love about Rόδho and this part of Rhodes, the main town, is that I see a lot of people walking along, enjoying the scenery, looking at the buildings, and the buildings are in the background, but it's that pleasant look, you know?
It's an historical walk.
Yeah.
You walk through the history.
Architecture has a unique way of telling the story of a city. It translates political, economic and cultural shifts that occur throughout history. It can bear the scars of war or put on display the opulence of a period in time. They're not just buildings, but tangible reminders of the past. People from the four corners of the world have found their way to Rhodes. And as you're about to discover, they don't just come here for the history. There's adventure to be had, as well as amazing food, a relaxed culture, great beaches, bars, and above all else, an amazing lifestyle where all these things come together.
You're Dutch, you've been here for 20 years. Holland is one of the wealthiest countries in the world. What are you doing in Rhodes?
Yes, people keep asking me that. Well, you will see now, definitely. I love the island. It's the island, the lifestyle, the people, everything. The climate. If you have sun, you have an outdoors life. I love outdoors life, obviously.
Yep.
I love the social life. Everything.
And one thing I don't understand, you do kite flying, you paraglide, you jump out of planes,
Yes.
you know, you...
Not on roads, but yes.
You're almost a world champion. You came third many times in the world championships for karate, everything.
Everything here on roads.
And you can do, you've done all that on roads.
Everything here. I started everything here. I didn't do anything in Holland before.
Is that right? So you
everything
learned
here.
all that, karate,
All that here.
kite flying,
Rock
jumping out of
climbing,
planes?
Yes,
Here.
motocross, everything here.
Now I know why you
Drive.
don't leave.
Yes, there you
Yeah.
go. If I go back to Holland, I'm going to do what?
Yeah.
Go to work, sit at home. It's not the same.
What's
and,
the
and
best-
everything is nearby.
What's the best thing about Rhodes? The best?
The best thing about roads, is the lifestyle.
Just the
It
lifestyle.
makes, because you live every day. We live every single day. We don't
Yeah.
wait for the weekend to live.
Yeah.
We live every single day. It's 7
Right.
days a week.
Right.
How cool is that? I love the idea of living every day and not waiting for the weekend to be able to do things we enjoy. Rhodes affords that lifestyle to those open-minded enough to embrace it. Of course, there are sacrifices along the way, and if it makes you happy, then why not?
Man, there are parts where I feel like I'm in the middle of a country and it could be hundreds of kilometres to the coast, and then all of a sudden we go over a mountain and there's the coast.
Like that, it opens up. Yes.
Wow.
Beautiful.
It's amazing.
Island life. I can drive to the supermarket and be happy because I have this view.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what we see when we go down to the supermarket. Yeah.
So much diversity in such a small area, although this is one of the biggest Greek islands, obviously.
It is. But if you
It's
don't...
still small.
Yes.
And when you put it in a magnitude of countries and things, you know.
As you can see, very few people leave the busy streets of the old town and make their way to the island's interior. The mountainous countryside is completely different from the coast. Here, you're lucky to cross paths with anyone. There are no grand buildings or ancient monuments. In their place are weathered hills. It's a part of Rhodes where you get a glimpse of nature with little human impact. And best of all, you get some peace and quiet. Oh, and delicious food. The jars of goodies instantly made me hungry. Plus, Caroline told me they serve the best mizithra in all of Rhodes, and probably the entire Dodecanese.
There's a big problem here, you know. I don't want to leave here. We're going to keep going, and I don't want to leave here.
I know. There's always a problem. Uh-oh. I see it coming. It's your mizithra.
Oh, mizithra! Okay, stop. You can have some mizithra.
So, try.
They're small pieces for me, you know that.
Well, you don't need forks here, eh? That's
Come,
okay.
Grab one, grab one. That's it, okay. You know what I like? I like mizithra with a little bit of honey on it, you know?
Yeah, you know that, eh?
Nah,
You do that.
listen, I'm Greek, man. I'm Greek.
Yes, it's very Greek.
I really didn't get the taste. I better do it again. I don't know if I got enough honey on there, you know?
Tell me you also eat watermelon with feta cheese.
Of course.
Yeah.
And my wife has it, Helen has it with halloumi, because she's Cypriot, you know?
True. Nice.
Nice.
You only need this. You don't need anything else to eat. Perfect.
It's all organic, isn't it?
Yes. All. Everything. The honey's even their own bees.
Their own bees.
Their own bees, their own beehives. Yes. Everything is theirs.
Oh.
Yeah. Perfect.
Eating the freshest of locally grown food was one thing, but what made the experience so much more rewarding was sharing it with Caroline. Her energy and enthusiasm for Rhodes was infectious, and spending the day with her took me to places I never otherwise would have thought to venture. Plus, I got to buy Helen something as well.
Now we have to go, eh?
Yeah.
You keep eating, you keep shopping here. It's all so good.
It's for Helen. It's all organic.
It's all...
She loves this stuff.
Of course. Let's go. Verder. Oh, look. That's the dessert, the cherry on the cake.
Thank you. Ευχαριστώ, ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστούμε. Γεια σου.
Καλά, εμείς ευχαριστούμε.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
You too.
Ευχαριστούμε. Γεια σου. Oh, these are the best. Have you tried them?
Man, there's a lot of stuff here. Yeah, but you know what?
So it's the best shopping you can do here on the island.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get lucky tonight.
For sure.
Let's go.
Helen will be very happy woman
Yes.
today. Yes, great. That was nice.
There are two very different sides to Rhodes, not just the contrast between the busy tourist areas and quiet interior, it's even at a macro level. Take the port, for example. You have massive cruise ships unloading thousands of people, but in their wake are tiny fishing boats. You have the visitors busily seeing the sights, and then there's the locals calmly fishing. It's all part of the island's unique tapestry.
So we're having a great time here in Rhodes, and we wanted to make something sweet that they do in Rhodes, which is kadaifi.
Kadaifi.
Now, I don't know what kadaifi is in English, but it's kadaifi. Now, what have we got here, Kyriako?
Έχουμε για το σιρόπι μας ζάχαρη, νεράκι, λίγο μέλι, κανέλα στικ και λίγο λεμόνι.
So this is the syrup. We're going to make the syrup out of this. So why don't you start...
ξεκινάμε.
Okay, ξεκινάμε. We've got
πρέπει
some water, a lot of sugar, a lot of sugar.
650 είναι
650 grams. We've got
και 500 το νερό.
500 mils of water, some honey,
Κανέλα.
a bit of a cinnamon stick, a squeeze of lemon, the whole thing going in a little short bit, and some honey. And that's basically the syrup, and that's going to go on the heat. Για πόσο καιρό πάει πάνω στο...
Να πάρει βράση 5 λεπτά και είναι έτοιμο.
So it's got to boil and
Και
it's
μετά το
basically
αφήνουμε...
ready. And then we let it cool before we use it for the kadaifi, right? So he's putting it on the heat, and that's that. Now this stuff here that we've got while he's doing that, we've got butter. We've got butter from a cow, we've got butter from a goat, Now, you don't necessarily need butter from a goat, but it gives it aroma. Do you want to start doing that now? And he's going to melt the butter, the two butters. And what we've got here is, once again, some sugar. I know, Helen, don't worry about it, Helen. We've got some cinnamon ground in with cloves and almond, a lot of almond. Man, that's a lot of crushed almond. And we've got the kadaifi. Now, where do you buy kadaifi from? I have no idea. Go to some Greek delicatessen and you'll find it, right? And what do we do with the kadaifi now? While
Θα τα κάνουμε mix αυτά για να είμαστε...
we mix those. This is easy. It's so easy. What are you doing?
Είναι σαν να πλένουμε ένα ρούχο.
It's like washing clothes.
Yes. Λοιπόν.
I think I went out with a girl with hair like that once. Before I got married, obviously. Helen's watching in the background saying, what's going on here?
Απλά.
And
Μια ποσότητα.
We put it in little sections, do we?
Μάλιστα.
Okay.
Kadaifi is a popular dessert that's found throughout Greece, Turkey and the Middle East. It's a lot like baklava.
Is that it?
Yes.
That's it?
Ναι, τώρα δείτε. Το θέμα είναι να κλείνει.
Can I do this one?
Yes.
I'll do this one. And what do we do now? Show me.
Λοιπόν,
You roll it up.
το μαζεύετε.
How easy is this?
Yes. Από δεξιά αριστερά.
Definitely easy.
Είναι το πρώτο γλυκό που έφτιαξα στη ζωή μου.
It's the first sweet you ever made.
Ναι.
What, when you were 6 years old?
Όχι.
You keep rolling, you just keep rolling, even
Ναι,
you
ναι,
just
ναι.
keep rolling.
Να μαζεύει για να μένει μέσα.
So it stays inside. They look fantastic, don't they? Have you ever had help like me before? Ever? No?
Ειδικά για shopping.
I'm the best at shopping, aren't I? I'm the best at shopping. Now you go. Start rolling. This is the hardest thing, I think, is the rolling. Και πόσο κρατιέται αυτό?
Αυτό δεν έχει αυγό, βγάλα, τίποτα. Μπορεί να κρατηθεί μια εβδομάδα.
Is there a replacement for the sugar so Helen can cook it? Δεν πρέπει να βάλουμε ζάχαρη.
Δεν γίνεται να μην έχουμε αυτό, έχει πολύ ζάχαρη.
Yeah. You're going too fast for me, Kyriako. You know that?
Yeah.
Way too fast. Come on. There you go. I'm not going to have a go at wrapping it because I'm going to...
Go on, have a go.
Γιατί δεν
Should I have a go at wrapping it? Let me have a go at wrapping it. Hang on. Do I do the
Μπορείς να το
wobble?
διάλυσεις.
Should I do the wobble like you?
Μην το διάσετε καθόλου. Κλείνετε απλά με τα δάχτυλα γύρω-γύρω
Oh,
έτσι.
yeah, okay. No, don't you. Let me do it on my own, right? I can't go as fast as you, Kyriako. How's that? Is that okay?
Πολύ καλό.
So how long in the oven for?
Στους 160 βαθμούς για 35-40 λεπτά.
40 minutes, 160 degrees, pretty simple stuff.
Εξαρτάται βέβαια και από το φούρνο, πόσο δυνατός είναι, τι είναι.
Okay, all right, now I'll clean this. I'll clean this up. You get the butter, okay? Let me do something, okay?
While we were putting together the main part of the kadaifi, the butter was melting on the stove. The aroma was incredible. Next to that, the syrup was boiling away and slowly reducing. The smells are part of what makes cooking this dish so enjoyable. The first step is to brush the kadaifi with the butter, making sure they're completely covered. This gives them the colour and buttery flavour. Next, put them in a preheated oven at 160 degrees, leaving for 30 minutes or so until they're golden brown. While they're still hot, pour the syrup over the top, evenly soaking them all. Let them cool for a little and then they're ready to serve. The last step is the hardest. Waiting for them to cool always gets me frustrated.
Τώρα είναι έτοιμο. Είναι ακόμα ζεστό, αλλά...
Let's go. Even though it's warm, we'll try it. When it's warm, it's better, apparently. Oh, look at that. It's all juicy. Okay, give me a fork. Should I try it with ice cream too?
Ναι, για να το κόβετε.
Well, I have to put ice cream on. Ella?
Ξέρω ότι θέλετε σοκολάτα, γι' αυτό.
Yeah, I love chocolate. I love chocolate ice cream. I'm going to just let... Here, oh yeah, I'm just going to take a bit out of there straight away. I'm not going to waste time here.
Το σιρόπι πιστεύω ότι είναι πολύ καλά. Δεν θέλει άλλο παραπάνω για να μπορεί να γίνει τραγανό. Να είστε καλά, Βαγγέλη.
It's so good. No, it's so good. Are you going to try some? Come on.
Some prefer them warm, others like room temperature or even cold. On Miazoi, the ice cream is also a debate. Kyriako and I are always arguing over chocolate or vanilla. I say chocolate.
Anyway, I can't talk anymore because I've got to keep eating this. It's things I have to do for this show. Rhodes is known for its beaches. And it's shaped a bit like a sweet potato with little side bits hanging out of it. But it's leaning towards the east. And as a result, the west coast gets the northerlies, the strong northerlies, and they're good kite surfing, windsurfing beaches. The east coast, however, is protected. And you get these beautiful sandy beaches with flat water. They're absolutely awesome. And we're about how far out are we from Mandraki, are we?
10 kilometers.
So we're down 10 kilometres on the east coast, heading down these beaches. There are like 40 kilometres of beaches and bays. And there are organised beaches where there's umbrellas and xapnostres, as they say in Greek. And there's beaches that aren't organised. And we're going to head to one of those beaches now so that you can see this first beach that is not one of my favourite, but it's one of the most visited beaches in Rhodes. Let's go, Yanni. We'll beach ourselves over there, eh? Yep. Sun's strong today.
When I began this odyssey, it was mainly about the smaller, remote islands, and it still is. However, despite being one of the biggest land masses in Greece, to Helen and me, Rhodes is an outlier. It's not what you expect from a touristy destination. This 40-kilometre stretch is a great example. There are spots that cater for the package tourist, and then there are other locations, remote enough for the quiet traveller. It has the best of both worlds.
Here at Faliraki, there's the beach of Amudis, which goes for a few kilometres. And as you can see behind me, there's hotel after hotel after hotel, five-star hotels basically. And there's clubs, bars, restaurants, water sports. There's everything you need to stay for a week and enjoy yourself. You don't even have to leave this place. It's awesome. Sand's soft. Anyway, we're going to keep moving down because there's heaps of beaches.
You don't need your own boat to explore the coastline. The roads are excellent and well signposted. The hard part is choosing your destination. You could come here for months, yet visit a different beach every day. Sometimes we head to the crowded patches of sand and do some people watching. Other occasions, we do what Helen prefers and go to the lesser known places. Rhodes has it all.
Just 500 metres from the beach of Amudis and Faliraki is this tight little outcrop. It's a bay called Anthony Quinn Bay. And it's named Anthony Quinn Bay because Anthony Quinn filmed here, The Guns of Navarone. He's famous amongst the Greeks for Zorba the Greek, and they have him as his own, even though he's Mexican. He loved this place so much, he bought a piece of property just there. Unfortunately, because he's not Greek, they annulled the purchase, but they still call it Anthony Quinn Bay. And as you can see from the number of tourists here, they love it too.
I'm sure my mother, God rest her soul, was quietly in love with Anthony Quinn. After his portrayal of Zorba in the 1964 film Zorba the Greek, she would religiously watch every movie he made. My sisters and I never had the heart to tell her that he wasn't actually Greek. Personally, as a war movie buff, I loved him in The Guns of Navarone. I'm not embarrassed to say that I had a tiny man crush on this guy. Might be a bit of mum's DNA. Our journey took us further south, well beyond the busy shores, to parts where most tourists don't venture, only those in the know.
This is Afandu? Afandu Beach, I'll never get it right. Anyway, the thing I like about Rhodes is it's 77 kilometres long and it's just coastline of beaches and coves. It might be the second biggest island in all of the Dodecanese and the second most visited island in Greece. But it absorbs that tourism. And as you can see on the beach, it's not crowded. There's thousands and thousands of hotel rooms. You can come here and you can go to a beach and be on your own as well. Now that is very rare for any place in the world. With turquoise water, good food. I love this place. Helen would love to have a house here. It's one of her favourite islands. But then again, she'd like to have a house on many of these islands.
We spent a couple of days slowly cruising down the coast and stopping at all the best spots. Eventually, we arrived at Lindos, which is known for its incredible Acropolis and the beautiful St. Paul's Bay. Whenever we visit Rhodes, the place you're most likely to find Helen is here, basking in the shallow, warm water. Yes, it's a beautiful beach, and yeah, there's a historically important town next to it. But for me, when I look up at the towering cliffs, all I can do is imagine two huge 16-inch naval guns sticking out of the rock face. It's an image that has been with me for 40 years, since I first watched The Guns of Navarone. It was filmed at this very spot. Before being able to show you this gorgeous town, I had to give the crew a day off. It can't be all work and no play. So to convince me to have a break, all they had to say is one word: flight board. With that being uttered, there's a shot of adrenaline, and I feel 30 years younger, ready to compete with my son. So we moved to a quiet stretch of coast for a bit of fun. For me, this is the life. We make a decision as a family and adjust plans to suit. And having a boat with a great crew means we have the luxury of relative freedom to move about as we wish. It's something I'll never stop being appreciative of.
So we're taking a bit of a break from filming. What a better place to do it than Rhodes. The beaches are awesome, the sun is awesome, the sea is beautiful, and there's a little rubber ducky over there. I better go and save the rubber ducky.
Maybe it's me that needs the saving. Lindos was founded in the 10th century BC. For several centuries, it was an important trade centre. However, when the city of Rhodes was built in the 5th century BC, its importance waned, though it did remain a vital location for merchants and military strategy. From the fort, you could monitor a huge stretch of coast, so it was always a place where the ruling powers of the time maintained a significant presence.
Kalimera. You know, the street next to us is full of tourists. This one or two. The street further down, hardly anybody. And that's the thing I love about Rhodes. Rhodes is a very, very big island, and I'm not a fan of big islands, but Rhodes has something different. Rhodes has absolutely everything. It has big cities, small towns, big towns, serene little spots that are quiet that you can hide away from anywhere, and there's 80,000 rooms, hotel rooms here. Helen would love to live here, and it's unusual for her to say that she'd love to live on a big island. It's so big you could almost consider it a country, because in Rhodes town, they speak with a gentrified Athenian accent. Here in Lindos, it's pretty much the same, but in the centre, in the country, they have a different accent. They speak like Cypriots. This place is vast, different, and it has so much to offer. I'm starting to like big islands.
At sea level is the modern town. It rises up the slope as you make your way to the Acropolis. The age of the buildings seems to increase as you near the top. So too does the number of tourists. The amazing thing is that apparently there's about 4,000 people living here, and well over 5 times that in tourists most days. The alleys are lit up by the sun bouncing off the whitewashed walls. The twists and turns of the narrow lanes eventually open up, revealing cobbled paths, flanked by souvenir shops, restaurants, bars, galleries and cafes. It's a lively and beautiful town with all the things you would want as a visitor, but it also feels as though there's a thriving local community. Heading up to probably the most significant historic site on the island, there was no better person to be guiding me than Professor Spiro. I love his romanticised descriptions. He's a very knowledgeable and equally passionate man. I could listen to his stories all day long. He has a way of putting facts and figures into layman's terms and giving them some colour. It's just what a simple person like me loves to hear.
There's a big stair.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Our initiation starts here.
Fantastic.
So from staircase drenched in light, we're going through a shady, dark place. And the game between light and darkness has just begun. The whole point of initiation is to have an enlightenment, literally. So from the darkness of ignorance, we go through the enlightenment of the next level.
Awesome.
At this point, I'm happy to admit that the poetic reflections of the professor started to leave this simple builder more than just a little bit confused.
In this part, Panagiotis, I feel like a small piece of the mosaic of history. I mean, just look around us. We are walking on a 700 BC staircase surrounded by Byzantine and medieval fortification. This is the stoa. 87 meters of Hellenistic arcades. This is a Byzantine church, 13th, 14th century AD, built on a 500 BC church. And the temple, which we are going to see, comes from the Hellenistic period, around 300 BC. It's history all around us, and the most amazing part it was that this city here, Lindos, was continuously occupied by people. Even after the decline of Rhodes and the rise of Athens and the decline of Camiros and Ialissos, Lindos continued to thrive.
Wow, a continuous civilization, amazing.
Long before the city of Rhodes was built, Lindos was the heart of the island. From here they could trade with the Phoenicians, throughout Greece and into Europe. It was a melting pot of cultures, where merchants could conduct business with people from across the known world. Not only was it strategic in terms of shipping, it was also a military stronghold, and with the spoils that trade brought came power. This enabled them to spread their wings to the corners of the Mediterranean and beyond, from the Black Sea and Middle East to Italy and North Africa. It was one of the most powerful and widespread empires of the time. But it wasn't through naval might or having a large army. It was wealth and political influence that gave them their strength.
The temple is only one little reason for us to remember something important. The height, the acme of Lindos lasted for nearly 300 years. From the 7th century BC down to the 3rd century BC, Lindos found itself very advantageous. It was situated, it was located in a perfect strategic position, caught in the coming and going of cargo boats that carried goods and mainly grain from the Black Sea to southern Italy and Sicily down to Egypt. In the middle of all this, Lindos became very, very rich, so rich and powerful that it even had to found its own colonies. It expanded, so all the three corners of the known world at the time had the aroma and the flavor of Lindos.
Wow, awesome. Now I've got to tell you, Professor, it's hot and I need a cold coffee. Where can we get one? Is there a good one?
Let's go and get the best cold coffee in Lindos.
Go, let's go. Come in.
Who would have thought this now relatively small town of a few thousand people was once so significant? But that's history for you. Empires come and go, and what you see today is just a shadow of the past. Speaking of the past, the next episode is taking me to an island that's seemingly lost in time, Castellorizo. It's at the farthest edge of Greece, less than 2 kilometres from Turkey, and is a complete contrast to Rhodes. It's the smallest of the Dodecanese, remote, sparsely populated, and peaceful, which sounds like the perfect place to end this series of My Greek Odyssey. To see more of My Greek Odyssey, head to our website at mygreekodyssey.com. There you'll find plenty to keep you entertained, including Kyriakos' awesome recipes.